What happened when my boss accused me of slacking off? But the truth about who was stealing time shocked everyone. I worked the night shift at a mid-sized company, mostly data entry. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. My boss, Mr. Kent, hated me from the start. He was the kind of manager who thrived on intimidation, walking around with a clipboard, waiting to pounce on mistakes. For months, I kept my head down. I showed up early, left late, triple-checked every file. But one Monday morning, he called me into his office. His voice was smug. "We've reviewed your hours. You're stealing time." I blinked. "What? No, I clock in and out every shift." He shoved a folder across the desk. Inside were printouts of my time logs, highlighted in red. Dozens of late clock-ins, gaps in your shifts. "You're lazy. Unreliable." My stomach twisted. I wasn't late. In fact, I often covered when others didn't show. "This has to be a mistake," I said. Mr. Kent leaned back, smiling. "Don't bother arguing. HR is already involved. Honestly, you should resign before this gets worse." I left his office shaking, humiliated. Word spread fast. Coworkers whispered. Some avoided me. Even friends at work looked at me differently. But deep down, I knew something was off. I'd been careful, too careful to suddenly have dozens of late shifts. That night, instead of going straight home, I stayed after hours in the parking lot. From my car, I saw Mr. Kent leave the building, laptop bag slung over his shoulder. Nothing unusual except a few minutes later, the lights in the office flickered back on. Curious, I snuck inside. The hall was quiet. When I reached the time clock, I froze. Mr. Kent stood there, swiping my badge through the scanner. I gasped, but he didn't hear me. He typed something into his laptop, then swiped again. He was tampering with the logs. The next day, I went to IT. A friend of mine, Jason, worked there. Whispering, I told him what I'd seen. He frowned. "If he's using your badge, the system will still record which terminal it came from. Every scan is logged." Jason pulled up the security logs, and there it was. Dozens of late scans tied to my badge, but all swiped from Mr. Kent's office computer, not the regular time clock station. I felt sick. He wasn't just harassing me. He was setting me up to be fired. Jason handed me a flash drive. "This is everything. Keep it safe." The following week, HR scheduled a disciplinary meeting. Mr. Kent sat across the table, smug as ever. "Emily has repeatedly falsified her hours," he declared. I took a deep breath. "Actually, I'd like to show something." I slid the flash drive across the table. "Security logs from IT. Every so-called late scan, they came from your terminal, not the time clock." The HR rep frowned, plugging it in. Within seconds, the truth was undeniable. Every log showed the same thing. My badge used, but always from Mr. Kent's office. Silence fell. Mr. Kent's face drained of color. "That's not, there must be a glitch," he stammered. Jason, who had joined the meeting at my request, shook his head. "No glitch. The system is secure. Someone deliberately used her badge at a different terminal. The timestamps line up with when Mr. Kent was logged in." The HR rep's eyes narrowed. "Mr. Kent, do you have an explanation?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. Beads of sweat formed on his forehead. The rep turned to me. "Emily, thank you for bringing this forward. You're cleared of all accusations." Relief washed over me so hard I nearly cried. Mr. Kent, meanwhile, was escorted out pending investigation. A week later, we heard he'd resigned quietly. No farewell party, no speeches, just gone. When I returned to work, coworkers greeted me with cautious smiles. Some apologized. "Sorry we doubted you," one said. Jason patted my shoulder. "Good thing you trusted your gut." In the weeks that followed, HR sent out new policies about badge usage and supervisor oversight. My name was never mentioned, but I knew I'd sparked the change. Still, the scars lingered. I'd learned how easily power can twist the truth, how quickly people believe the person with authority over the one quietly doing the work. But I'd also learned something else. Sometimes the truth is buried in logs, in records, in details too small for lies to erase. And sometimes, all it takes is the courage to dig it up. Now, every time I swipe my badge, I remember the night I saw my boss standing there, rewriting my life with a piece of plastic. And I remind myself, silence gives power to liars. Speaking up, even when your voice shakes, can save everything.